Okay.
Question, Frank.
So we're rolling?
Yeah.
This guy screaming in here, you sure he's a dead cadaver? Let's open the door and find out.
Hellywood Slab. I am Dr. Morgus Rotten, and this is my co-host,
Mortis.
and we're about to start you guys off with a retrospective on a classic series near and dear to my heart, The Return of the Living Dead. Please like, comment, and share. Hit the little bell icon if you'd like to have notifications. Please give us a thumbs up if you like our video. It moves us into the algorithm, and hopefully other people will see it, and it gives them suggestions. So today we're going to be talking about Dan O'Banion's Return of the Living Dead, loosely based off of a story by John Russo, one half of the maestros that came up with Night of the Living Dead. And yeah, very cool, dark horror comedy about all kinds of scary things, from military conspiracy theories to punkers to the scary things happening in the 80s and trying to cover things up, right?
Yeah.
So Frank is hiring a new kid, and they're going to be working towards the 4th of July weekend to try to get orders ready. Bert's leaving. Yay, see you later. Remember, kid, if anything happens, remember, don't name it after me.
Right.
Thank you, Clue Gulager, for being awesome. And of course, they're walking around looking at stuff, and the kid asks him, you know, hey, what's the scariest thing you ever seen in here? And he goes, the scariest thing I've ever seen? Tells him the story about Night of the Living Dead, how it's a cover-up story for a chemical that was used to spray on marijuana, but when they put it, you know, corpses came into contact with it, it made them jump around as if they were alive. And Night of the Living Dead was supposed to be a fictionalized version of the story where they changed some of the details around so that it wasn't the true story. And according to Frank, canisters downstairs in the basement, you know, as he says, typical Army F up.
Yeah.
They got the orders crossed and they shipped the bodies here. So they go down, open the tank, and sure enough, there's a body, you know, its head sticking through the window, staring at them all, you know. And, you know, hey, man, these things don't leak, do they? Oh, hell no, these are made by the Army Corps of Engineers. And Frank slaps it, and out comes the frickin' chemical. And man, oh man, oh man, there is all kinds of stuff in this medical supply warehouse. We've got, you know, the butterflies pinned to a board start moving. Half dogs are barking.
It's like an episode of Evil Dead.
Right.
Like,
This is where the film actually gets creepy. And of course, the body in the freezer that just banging and trying to get out of there. They slap it shut, and you know, what are we gonna do? What do you mean? What are we gonna do? Watch your mouth, kid. If you like this job, like this job. Great lines.
Right.
And it sits down. I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna call the boss. Calls him up. Bert, we have a problem. And then we get to meet the other characters, which are the punk rockers, the young teenage kids that
driving
are
around in a convertible Impala?
Now, I want to say, yes, Suicide's car.
Yeah.
Please don't get us on the algorithm. That's just the character's name. His name is Suicide. We're not saying anybody's doing it.
Right.
But anyway, you know, they all get together, and of course we meet Trash and the other characters, and so they decide they're going to go pick up Freddy from work, who's working at the Unita medical supply warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, you know?
Great party.
Because, yeah, he knows where all the good parties are and whatnot, and they go down there, and of course Bert gets there, and he's now pissed off at Frank, because didn't I tell you not to ever go down there and mess with the damn tanks?
Right.
Are we sure the guy in there's dead? Why don't you go open the door and ask him? You know,
right.
It's like, so, you know, of course, all kinds of shenanigans ensue.
Oh, it's what happens in a zombie flick.
Yeah, but these are different.
Horrible.
Yeah, these are different zombies.
Oh, yes.
This is where this gets scary, okay? Look.
Wasn't this like almost the first installment of this type of zombie? Not like our typical...
No, this was the first type of this kind of zombie. If you were to wake up in a zombie apocalypse, if you woke up in the Return of the Living Dead universe, just end it, okay? Just don't even, you are not going to survive. These zombies, you can shoot them in the head. You can dismember the bodies. You can do everything you want. The pieces will come after you.
Yeah.
They do not stop. And they run, they talk, they're intelligent, they're not the typical, I mean, these zombies were actually kind of scary. And for all of you trivia buffs out there, the ones that may not know this, the whole zombies eating brains, this series is what started that. It had never been said before Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And we find this out really quick when the body in the fridge, freezer, whatever, gets out, goes right after Bert. And yeah, they hit him in the head with a pickaxe, and he's still trying to attack him and destroy the brain. Well, we did what the movie said, and Freddy points out, didn't the movie lie? You said they changed ideas. So basically, Bert's got a buddy named Ernie. Bert and Ernie. Ha ha.
Oh, God.
Lots of comedy here that
Hey,
work.
Bert.
Yeah, he's a man after my own heart. Another doctor like me, but he's over there working on autopsies, and he has a crematorium. They gotta get this going. They gotta try to
eradicate
the problem before it gets worse, because God forbid anything gets out of the medical warehouse, because they don't know yet what could possibly happen.
So they puff the magic dragon them?
Well, yeah, they end up, but during this time also the kids had made their way into the graveyard because
they're partying.
Well, they decide to party because Freddy's still at work and whatnot. And
why not party in the cemetery?
Yeah, so they go over there, and this leads to like one of the most awesome scenes for me when I was a kid. I mean, Linnea Quigley, she gets butt naked other than leg warmers, man, and dude. We're talking like, Chris, this is a beautiful woman, dude. Sorry, but
beautiful woman and personality and all-around person.
Yeah, she was gorgeous, and story has it when they were shooting the scene, she's butt naked. Here's Dan O'Banion filming this thing, and one of the producers came onto the set and saw it. Was like, you can't do this, or why? Because you can see her pubic hair. So of course, okay, so they they made her shave her pubic hair off. And come back and they're refilming the scene, and the producer sees it. He freaks out. This is even worse because now you can see everything. So I guess they had to make a prosthetic that would cover it. And when you see the scene, you really do see it. I mean, Linnea Quigley, other than her breasts, kind of looks like a Barbie doll. But what a fine-looking Barbie doll that is. And this was a hard scene for me to watch the first time around because I was watching the movie with my grandmother for the first time, and yeah, I got to see like a beautiful naked woman right at the beginning of my puberty with my grandmother. It's just, don't tell your mother. Oh, don't worry, I won't. But as this is happening,
wait, you forget the best part. When they ask about their, was it her best dream? Or
she's talking about what her greatest fantasy would be.
Yes.
And as for a bunch of old men to come and start, eat her alive. They'd rip off her clothes, and that's when she starts taking her clothes off. And you're just going, oh God, she's getting naked again, is what they're all saying. And you're going, again?
This must be usual.
This is like usual? It's like, good Lord. And but it was crazy because now you got to go back to the mortuary. And
where all the drama's happening.
Yeah, they're trying to, convince Ernie to let them use the crematorium because they want to burn up all of the dead matter to hide what's happened. And he's arguing with them. No, I'm not going to have all their rabid weasels. Rabid weasels? I'm not going to burn them alive. Let's at least take them into the parking lot. I can shoot them and put them out of their misery. You can't. What do you mean it can't? Because you can't. It won't work. What do you mean it won't work? Because, okay, you guys are like really pissing me off. What's going to get out of here? He goes, well, look. It's not rabid weasels in the bags. Okay, well, what is it? But you have to swear you won't tell anybody. He goes, I don't know at this point. You have to swear. Oh, okay. All right, fine, whatever. They open the bag, and it's an arm. The hand starts moving and grabs his leg, and he just freaks and get it off of me, Rips his freaking, his scrubs and everything, and, basically, hey, you're going to owe me a big favor, so fine, I'll burn up the bodies, fine, whatever. Yeah, he burns up the bodies. This was not a good move.
No.
Because now
you see it come up the chimney?
The trioxin 345 is now in the air, and it starts to rain. And the kids in the cemetery are getting it on them, and it's
Wait a minute,
like,
you're telling me chemicals can rain through
yeah,
the sky?
yeah,
and
exactly.
ruin
Acid
people?
rain, and they're upset. They're running back to the car. The roof in the car collapses, and then they run back into the cemetery. And during this time, we also find out that Frank and Freddie aren't doing very well either, because they got hit right in the face by the trioxin.
Yeah.
And they're looking really rough. So those of you that have seen zombie films, you already know what's happening. So they have gone to call paramedics. Okay. The kids in the graveyard start noticing the dead are coming out of the ground, and they're not happy. So they're all running. 2 of them end up at the medical supply warehouse. 3 of them end up at the mortuary and get into the mortuary, of course, where they can get help. And poor Trash gets her fantasy when a bunch of old dead men basically eat her alive.
They crawl up from the grave.
Yeah, crawl up from the grave. They got her surrounded, and
I will say, the best. This is honestly one of the best zombie films I've seen, where they're coming up out of the ground and how they shot it, to the point where, like, even in Thriller, you're like, this is perfect.
Right.
This is great. Doesn't look really cheesy. Doesn't look like they just put a thingy and they came up. No, this looked like
it was very well done. Because for me, I mean, okay. Here's the things that you find out, though. The zombies can talk. The zombies can run. And we're talking like run. We're not talking, we're talking full sprint. And they will stop at nothing. Now, usually, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of running zombies at all. However, with the way that these films were made, and it was such a fresh idea at the time, it was great. It was something different, and it wasn't done hokey and stupid. It was, and there, even though there's like some really kind of cheesy lines that are happening at this time, it's still very well done. Oh, and we forgot about Major Glovel, Colonel Glovel. Yeah, the army guy who has to live at home with all of this stuff because he's the guy in charge of trying to find these tanks that have disappeared since they disappeared in the 60s.
Yeah.
And, his wife, is, oh, these microwaves mess with my home. When are we going to Christ, Ethel? I don't know. I wish I knew. This poor guy, this has been his assignment for the military this whole time, is to find the tanks. And he's just waiting and waiting and waiting, because on the side of the tanks is an 800 number to call if you find the tanks, to call the army, right? So one might wonder, why didn't they call the 800 number long before this happened?
Well, back then, no one trusted the government, and as they said in the very first line.
Right. Exactly. Army, you got to remember, bad business. It could look bad for my business, this and that, army showing up. And okay, now you've got all these people trapped in this building now. And the zombies are coming, and they're not happy. The paramedics, of course, show up, check out Frank and Freddie, and no blood pressure, no pulse, right? Frank and Freddie are dead. They're they go outside to try to get help, and the zombies attack them. I mean, they're dead.
Yeah.
They get eaten, and of course, get on the radio, send more paramedics, So, And of course, the kids have figured out what the hell's going on with Freddie and Frank. So they want to lock Freddie and Frank up. The kids are pretty much figuring out what's happening to Frank and Freddie at this point. It's like, oh, no. We're locking them in the chapel.
Yeah.
Tina, of course, is freaking out. No, you can't lock them away like animals. And it's like, look, we're not trying to hurt them. We just want to make sure they don't hurt anybody else.
Right.
And so they get locked in, and that's when the zombies start breaking in. I mean, Oh, of course, I did forget about this. When Tina goes to the Unita right before all the rain starts, looking for Freddie, and we are introduced to the Tar Man, which is one of the creepiest looking zombies I've ever seen. And of course, I forgot that's where Suicide gets killed, because Tar Man grabs him and just caves his stomach. Takes a huge bite out of his head, and you're just like, ew.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty gross.
They lock him into the basement, and bring me a hammer and nails, stupid honkies. It's like, so they're trying to close the door and stuff, but they're all trapped in here now, in the mortuary and whatnot, and the zombies are getting in.
Yeah.
And I mean, what are we gonna do? So Frank and Freddy, of course, things start happening. You know, Freddy attacks Tina,
Yes.
and they bust the door back open, and they splash hydrochloric acid into his eyes. And you see Frank escape. Now, so here's where, you know, zombie lore takes a very interesting human side. Is Frank, who is now a full-fledged zombie, ends his own existence by putting himself into the crematorium
Yeah.
because he doesn't want to hurt anybody. And I mean, the idea of that was just kind of crazy. And then, of course, they got the half zombie that bit the other kid, and they're trying to ask her, you know, why do you eat brains? And she explains because of the pain.
Yeah.
You know, the pain of being dead. You know, it's like this is why they kill you and do what they do. And of course, Freddy's getting out. So we got, you know, one of the punkers and Tina, or no, one of the punkers that's left and Bert. They're all going to run for the car, right?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we now have the problem where Ernie's broken his ankle, so he can't go, and Tina, she can't go. Well, that's not exactly how it happens. Okay, they get out to the police car and they try to go, but there's so many zombies out there that they just run in, and they try to get back to the front of to get them out by the crematorium, but they can't. There's just too many zombies.
Yeah.
So they drive back over to the medical warehouse. So of course Tina's mad, thinking that they've abandoned them, and they haven't. So they go up into the crawl space and try to, you know, barricade that. Here comes Freddy, and then we also get to see Trash.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Trash when she attacks that homeless guy, and I mean, I'm sorry if that was the last thing I saw. I guess I wouldn't be too upset because that's probably the most beautiful zombie I've ever seen in my life. Good Lord, it was like
Well,
terrifying. Until she opens her mouth, and you're like, whoa! Things like this big, you know. It was like
her and the one girl from the other franchise.
we're getting to that one.
But yeah.
But so this happens, and what happens? They get to the medical warehouse. The other two people are there. They have to get to a phone. There's a zombie in the office. They can't go in there. Well, there's the one downstairs. Well, open the door. What are you going to do? Picks up the baseball bat. I'm going to knock his freaking block off, you know. Out walks the tar man. Wham! The head just goes flying, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, they get downstairs. They call the police. There's a barricade set up. Here come all the zombies. They're shooting them. They're doing everything they can, and these zombies just overtake everybody like crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
pretty nuts.
it's that quick. It's just the whole thing's just falling apart. And so, unfortunately, he calls the number on the tank. You know, Colonel Glovel's kind of happy that they've at least found
Yeah, but
as he puts it, the Easter eggs have hatched. And
Yeah.
that's the unfortunate thing. So during this time, Freddy is trying to break through the roof, and of course Tina's freaking out, and you see Ernie lean back and pull a gun out. You know what's going to happen if he gets through that door, because he's not going to let
yeah.
what he knows is going to happen. And you know, oh, Tina, see what happened this time? You made me break my head completely off, but I want your brains. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like, and here go, you know, what's going on? Well, they said they have a contingency plan, you know, while he's on the phone with them. Well, what's his contingency plan? Here comes the nuke. Right in the middle of Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Boom. Gets rid of the zombies.
Yeah.
And at the end, oh yeah, there's only a few irritants and some burns, but the rain will wash all that away.
Yeah. That's what started it.
Man, Return of the Living Dead, what a ride. And this was coming off of George Romero's very depressing Day of the Dead, you know, in 1984, which again, in its own right, is a fantastic film. I would love to say that this was a perfect recreation of the book Return of the Living Dead, but it's not. When Dan O'Bannon got the job of directing Return of the Living Dead, he didn't want to make a serious zombie film. He thought the serious zombie films had kind of cluttered the landscape. He had already done it with Dead and Buried. He wanted to do something kind of funny. And in case you guys don't know who Dan O'Bannon is, of course, you know, worked on the script for Dead and Buried and also wrote Alien. So, I mean, he's got some pedigree. So, walking into Return of the Living Dead, you had this perfect mixture of, veteran actors like Don Calfa and, Clu Gulager and the absolutely lovely James Karen.
Yeah.
If you don't know who any of these guys are, look them up. James Karen was funny in Hercules in New York. Clu Gulager was also in what was that Vincent Price film, Scream and Scream Again. And of course, Don Calfa was the assassin that kills Bernie in Weekend at Bernie's.
Jeez.
So we go from there. Tom Matthews, who of course was in the Friday the 13th series. We all already know about Linnea Quigley. She's legendary. You can't get much better than this. And again, one of the things that was amazing about Return of the Living Dead, soundtrack.
Yeah.
The soundtrack. Again, if you were at all into punk music, TSOL, The Cramps, SSQ, so many great bands, SSQ's Tonight We'll Make Love Until We Die has become iconic, and it's a song that plays during the Graveyard Dance with Linnea Quigley, and it's fantastic. SSQ, in case you don't know, Stacy Q, Two of Hearts, huge hit in the 80s.
Of hearts,
right.
I want you, I need
Exactly. Great stuff. But this film is perfect, even though there was a lot of bad things going on behind the scenes.
It was a good film.
Yeah, Dan O'Banion was a nightmare to work with. A lot. He actually, shortly before his passing, I guess, got a hold of a lot of the members of the cast to apologize to them because it was his first directing gig, and he was unfortunately on some nice drugs and stuff, and it made him an aberrant asshole, apparently. And so much to the point that I guess Clu Gulager went after him with a hammer.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, yeah, they wanted to give him all the fake props because he was very well known to have anger issues towards Dan O'Banion.
Oh, wow.
But like I said, if you get a chance, check out More Brains: The Return of the Living Dead. It's a great documentary. It's got more behind the scenes stories. I don't want to ruin them all, but. Myself, 5 out of 5 film.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
5 ghouls out of 5. Return of the Living Dead is a must if you are at all into zombies, and even if you aren't into zombies, you might actually get a kick out of this, especially if you like dark comedies.
Yeah. The timer flipped again.
Timer flipped again. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Well, anyway, boils and ghouls and slabbers and everybody else, stay scared. I hope that you've enjoyed this one and look forward to our next one, which will be Return of the Living Dead Part 2. Stay scared.